happy to be here with you and to welcome such an audience also on my behalf. An audience that's interested in learning more about the EEA agreement and how it works, and that's the core of our activities here in Brussels. We hold these seminars twice a year because we believe that the widespread knowledge about and understanding about the EEA agreement is key to its well-functioning. And at the time of new or more pressing questions about the future of European architecture at large, we believe that the EEA offers interesting insights into how a close partnership with the EU can work. We're therefore thankful to you for your participation and your interest today. Our overarching theme today in today's discussion is European cooperation. And EFTA has been part from the outset, even though in a changing way over the years, EFTA has been part of European cooperation. So before we delve into the specifics of the workings of the EEA, let me tell you a few words about the European Free Trade Association, EFTA. We were founded in 1960, 3 years after the EC at the time, or the EEC, to contribute to broader European economic developments and the liberal order in Europe at the time of the Marshall Plan. Throughout its 63 years of existence, it has gone through several changes in memberships and activities. But relationship with the neighboring EU has been a priority for EFTA throughout the years. Today, EFTA is the common platform for our 4 members, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland, for a number of activities. In fact, we have 3 core activities. First, the regulation of economic cooperation and relations among our member states, and that takes place through the EFTA Convention, the Stockholm Convention, that it was called, the Vaduz Convention since its last revision, the EFTA Convention for the daily use of work. The second field of activity is the development and management of our network of free trade agreements, free trade relations with countries outside Europe. We have today some 30 plus agreements covering 40 countries. We have some agreements with country groupings, hence this difference, and continue as we speak, negotiating right now with India and Thailand, to name them. Mercosur is on the agenda as well, and others. And as such, this is one of the largest network of trade agreements in the world. And finally, third field of activity, and that's the topic of the day, we manage the relations, the relations of 3 of our members with the EU. These relations, I told you, it's been an ongoing topic from the outset. Relation to EFTA EU, they have culminated with the EEA agreement, which was signed in 1992 in Porto, incidentally, and entered into force 2 years later in 1994. So just under 30 years ago, we will celebrate 30 years of the EEA next year. And this for our 3 members, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. Switzerland, as you probably know, went its own way with a series of bilateral agreements with the EU. The EEA agreements, its core, it ensures the full participation of our 3 members to the internal market of the EU. And above all, it is today also the solid backbone of our members' relations with the EU beyond the internal market also. Since the EEA agreement was signed, Europe, so 30 plus years ago, Europe and the world have undergone profound changes. The EEA agreement still stands as it was negotiated at the time. In most recent years, we have seen a series of challenges to European cohesion, solidarity, and resilience. Brexit, migration, rule of law, the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and geopolitical shifts are calling for new thinking to consolidate European integration, to ensure appropriate participation to European cooperation in the east of the continent, to articulate Europe's neighborhood relations, and to position Europe in the world of tomorrow. All these require skilled crisis management and policy making at European level. Whilst Europe and the world are changing, the European Economic Area has successfully addressed renewed challenges. I think that's a remarkable feature, that even though the agreement was conceived in the late 1980s, actually, by Jacques Delors as a tools to participate strictly to the then emerging internal market, the agreement remains, but the context and the content have changed, and yet it works to the satisfaction, I would say, from both sides. I hope we'll hear this also from our friend and representative of the EU side. I think that success, this well-functioning that's still characteristic today, above all, is due to the spirit of mutual trust and cooperation among close partners, the EU member states, and our 3 members. This positive spirit is key, continues to prevail. We experience this in our daily interactions with our EU counterpart. And as Europe decides how to respond to the pressing challenges of climate change, of the twin transition, digital revolution, and growing trade nationalism, we at EFTA will navigate these challenges with our member states and our EU counterparts. Again, knowledge and understanding about the EEA is essential for its good functioning and continued ability to address these changing needs. Today, you will get valuable information and insights from the chair of the EFTA Standing Committee, Ambassador Schaffhauser, from our counterparts in the EU Council, the chair of the EFTA Group of the EU Council, Mr. Bora Cortes Breton-Brinkmann. You're actually the incarnation of European cooperation with Spanish, French, and German elements in your name. So this is the livelihood of European integration you're going to hear later today. So thank you for being with us and caring for us during the terms in your chairmanship and beyond. You'll also hear from representatives of our EFTA institution, the Secretariat, the EFTA Surveillance Authority, and the EFTA Court, and the representatives of our Financial Mechanism Office, which manages our contribution to cohesion in Europe. So with you, I wish you a great seminar, encourage you to take part actively, interrupt, ask questions, or make comments. This will be all the more interactive. Thanks a lot for being here. Looking forward to our discussions.